Okay, joining us on the show, this is a special broadcast. No, it's not News Hour just yet. That's half an hour from now, but I have two very special guests with me in the studio this evening. It's Aamir and Asin live. Thank you very much for coming. Aamir, lovely to see you. Asin, and first of all, thank you so much for coming. It's always justifiable in a way that when you're part of the build-up or promotions of a movie, actors give interviews. But it's nice of you to come. And I remember when we chatted the last time, Aamir, you said I'd come to you regardless of how the movie does.
Sure.
Happy about it?
Thrilled.
90 crores in 5 days or something like that?
Yeah.
90 crores in 5 days? Is this commercially the biggest movie in recent Indian history?
Actually, it's the biggest in history ever. Recent past, the opening and the first week collections are record breaking. They've crossed the previous best by a good 40-50%. So that's huge.
Matters to you?
Well, it indicates to me. I mean, the opening of a film always indicates to me, because as a star, I have to bring in people. So it indicates to me that people have faith in my work and my films, and I'm very grateful for that. And it's always been my attempt to make sure that I don't let them down.
Yeah. What was the pull factor, Asin, in your view, to this movie? Huh?
Him, obviously. I think he was the USP of the film. Besides, I think Gajini as a film is a great entertainer.
Yeah.
So I think those two are the factors.
I have another theory actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the marketing was great, and I have one film a year, so maybe that also, really.
You think
helps.
that's the reason why you do fewer films, they'll do better?
No, I do as many films as I can, which means basically I can't work any faster. So I do one film a year, and my thinking is that perhaps for very long we haven't had a really good action film in the mainstream cinema, and I think that people have an appetite for that.
Okay.
For a really good action film, the kind of action that they haven't seen on Hindi screen before.
That's true.
So I think that has added to the opening.
Okay,
as well.
Aamir and Asin, I want to throw 10 questions at you. We're going to make the most of the time that we have. And I know that there are a lot of people who would like to call in and ask you questions, but I'll hog the limelight myself and I really hope that I'm asking the questions that you would like to ask Aamir yourself. Aamir, can we throw these questions in some kind of a rapid fire round?
Okay.
I'm sorry there isn't the paraphernalia that you usually have on entertainment shows, and I have no chocolate box to give you at the end of the show. This is a news channel. Aamir, you had an uncomfortable relationship with critics. I mean, there were some critics, and did you really say this, that some critics are more favorable to other camps? Are there camps within critics? You really think so? Because you've opened up to the media, but your relationship with critics hasn't completely evened out. Even after Gajini, some really panned the movie, despite it doing so well, and they were extremely... There were extreme reactions to the movie.
Quite honestly, I mean, I have to first remind you that even a film like Tare Zameen Par or Jaane Tu or my earlier film with Mehra, Rang De Basanti, all of these films had good and bad reviews. So even Tare Zameen Par had bad reviews. Tare Zameen Par got 2 and less than 2 stars from some critics. So the first thing to understand is that there are a whole lot of critics, and it is their personal opinion on how they like the film. It doesn't have to match with the audience often.
If you had memory loss in real life,
Yeah.
which is the one review? Now you don't have to name the person, but you got to open up. You see, if you had memory loss in real life, which is the one review you would want to forget, or rather, which you can't forget?
Actually, none of them.
Don't.
No, I'll tell you why.
You're being so diplomatic.
No, I'm not. I'm being very honest. The fact of the matter is, in my career of 20 years, for any one film, I've had good and bad reviews. So this is no different in that sense. But I'll come to the other part of your question. I also feel that certainly there are certain critics and certain journalists who are, either have an axe to grind with me in particular or some other actor in particular.
Now you're talking. Why?
And then some of them are friendly with other stars and they want to hit out at you, when your film releases. I mean, I think that's, even that is not very unusual. As far as
My question number two is, did you really say that some critics are more favorable to other stars and other camps? Because I almost heard you say that right now.
Yeah, I think
what is being suggested here, Aamir? Be totally open about it. You've got nothing to lose. You made 90 crores in 5 days.
My God. No, I'm being totally open. The fact of the matter is that, I mean, this is life. This is how life is. I mean, you have people, ideally critics should be, or journalists should be, completely uh, uh, true to their work, and they should write what they honestly feel. They should not be, favorable to anyone or against anyone. That is the ideal situation. But life is not ideal. You have people who are close to. I mean, if I'm a close friend of yours, then I might.
Rest
I mean,
assured,
I
I'm
won't.
not going to be nice to you.
But it happens, So you have, situations like this, and you deal with them. I mean, you ignore them.
What do you think about that, Asin?
No comments. I have no idea about
You're
it.
being diplomatic. You're being diplomatic because you're going to be in Mumbai, and you don't want to make any enemies, even among the critics.
No, I seriously think I'm too fresh and too new to be giving a comment on something like this at this point of time.
I
wouldn't have the knowledge.
Okay, I'll let that pass, but I won't let it pass on the next one. My father watched the movie, and he said, I asked him, how do you think of the movie? He said, it's a good movie. There's a lot of violence in it. And that's what the reaction has also come, which brings me to question number 3. Especially among the older generation, the reaction has been that there is too much violence, and that so much violence may be a negative influence on the younger generation. Aamir.
Well, actually, I would like to. I don't totally agree with that. I'll tell you why. According to me, that this is not realistic cinema. This is cinema where you live out your fantasies. The fact of the matter is that one of the reasons the film got a big opening is because it's an action film.
Do you think it's because of the violence?
I wouldn't call it violence.
I wouldn't call it violence. It's an action
Okay.
film. I mean, it's not realistic. It's not a realistic film. It's
But-
action.
Yeah,
In fact, I would go so far as to say that while it is an action film, the heart of this film is a love story.
Yeah.